Once you apply to take the real estate exam, and certainly by the time you get your real estate license, many different real estate brokers have reached out to you. In fact, I tell people if you know somebody who's lonely and doesn't and feels like nobody wants them, right? No one ever writes them, no one seems to care. Tell them to get their real estate license because they'll be getting cards and letters and maybe phone calls. The companies that have reached out to you, those brokerages, generally fall into three different categories. The first group are the big box franchises, the brand names, the Keller Williams, Coldwell Banker, Berkshire Hathaway, companies like that. On the plus side, you may have heard of most of those companies. They have name recognition. They do have some tools and training, but it's there's limits. And they do have local brick and mortar offices that you could go to. That's on the plus side. On the negative is, well, they don't pay very well. They charge a lot to work at those companies, and when you do close a transaction, there's a lot of deductions that come out of your commission check. There are also the boutiques, the little local offices, and their pitch usually is, we're little, we're local, we're like a family. You won't get lost, with us. And what they pitch is that they're small and that there's hands-on training and there's field training, which of course means they don't have any training. EXP is in a third category. We're a cloud-based brokerage. We're not Blockbuster Video, we're Netflix. We're not Hilton Hotels, we're Airbnb. It's good to understand how the old-fashioned model works. And this has been around for decades, many decades. You have a parent company, oftentimes a franchisor, oftentimes an international company like Keller Williams International is an example. The company sells regions, and regional owners kick up money from their profits and from their income to the international company, the company at the top. The regions then sell franchises. Those are offices that are owned by individual investors. The franchises, by the way, kick up money to the region, who kicks up money to, well, the parent company. The franchises rent office space and hire staff. And then they also bring on agents. And so the agents pay for the office staff and for the profit for the franchisor, the office owners, and then money goes to the regional office, and then money eventually goes to the parent company. You can see this is a system that really eats up the dough. The EXP model is a new model. Notice our agents are at the top. Our agents are owners. Now that's just more than words. If you were an owner or a part owner of a company, well, you would have stock in the company and you'd also get a share of the revenue of the company. Our agents can earn stock and can get a share of the revenue. We don't have all those layers. Notice there's no franchisor renting office space. There's no regional offices. All of those layers of where money was kicked up from one level to the next, those are all gone in the EXP model. What we replace the old-fashioned brick and mortar franchise building with is a cloud-based system. Now, there's lots of components of the cloud, but the two that relate most directly to the overhead that most real estate company has is eXp World and Workplace. Now, eXp World is a internet 3.0 metaverse where it's an avatar-based system where you can go and talk to people. You can talk to the broker, you can talk to accounting, you can talk to the human relations, you can talk to the transaction people, you can talk to onboarding, you can attend classes. All of that can be done through the cloud in this world, this virtual world, which is developed by a company called Verbella, which eXp now happens to own. Now, in addition to being able to get all of the administrative services that you need through, in addition to being able to go with the avatar-based system, we also have Workplace. And Workplace, for most people, looks kind of familiar because, well, it looks like Facebook. And the reason it looks like Facebook is, well, because it's Facebook. So Workplace is a intranet where it looks like Facebook, but it's designed just for a company's use. We have almost 90,000 members worldwide, and there are groups. The Michael Devlin Group has a group in Workplace. There are broadcasts of training. You can talk to people in administration. You can talk to the brokers. You can do all that through this cloud-based system. EXP, as well as many other large real estate companies, are publicly traded. And if you're publicly traded, it means you have to report stuff. And if you have to report stuff, other people can look at what you've reported and do some calculations. Now, I'm giving credit to Seeking Alpha as well as the Motley Fool, which are investment media sources where, they have people that analyze these kind of things. And one of the things that they analyzed is what of the major real estate companies, what is their overhead per transaction? Now, Compass, you may not have heard of them because in some areas they're kind of big, in some areas not so much. But Compass is one of the top 5 real estate companies in the United States. Their average cost per transaction was $7,987. Anywhere, which is again a name that may not be, you may not be familiar with, but Anywhere is the name of the company that owns Coldwell Banker, Century 21, Sotheby's, ERA, Better Homes and Gardens. They own the Cochran Group, Klein Realty, Zip Realty. They own a group of title companies, and they own a large relocate. It's a big company. They own Coldwell Banker, Century 21, and Sotheby's. Their average cost per transaction, $3,575. At EXP, our average cost per transaction is $869. How can we have that huge difference? Well, we don't have those thousands of brick and mortar buildings all over the place that we're paying rent and utilities and maintenance and staffing and all that sort of stuff. What that does, it allows us to pay better, provide more services, more tools, more training, more, and charge less and still make a profit, because our cost per transaction is so low, and it shows up in commission splits. So what they were doing, the Motley Fool and their analysts, is they were looking for the different companies, how much of the commission income went in, and then how much of it went back to the salespeople, to the agents that worked at the company. They found at Compass, the average was about 80%. 80% of the commission went back to the agents. Anywhere, Coldwell Banker, Century 21, Sotheby's, it was about 75%. And at eXp Realty, it was over 90%. A quick history of real estate. Back in the 1970s, Century 21 rose to prominence. It was the largest real estate company in the world, by far. The franchises, gold jackets, all of that stuff. In the 1980s, Remax showed up. Remax was 100% office. They had interesting new models in terms of what the office would do and how much commission you would pay, and they surged up to be one of the top real estate companies in the country. In the 1990s, it was Anywhere. Now, Anywhere used to be called Realogy, and then Realogy used to be called Cendant, but in the 1990s, Cendant, Realogy, Anywhere is their name now, started acquiring offices and growing Coldwell Banker, Century 21, Sotheby's, ERA. That was the 1990s, and they were the biggest real estate company. In the 2000s, Keller Williams came into the real estate environment. The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, right? It was a great book back in the day. I was at Keller Williams for 7 years, learned a lot. Keller Williams, still a franchise system, becomes the top real estate company in the United States. In 2010 is when eXp got started. And notice I have a plus, because where is the future of real estate likely to be? Is it going to be in old-fashioned brick and mortar franchises, or is it going to be in cloud-based systems? This chart shows the dynamic growth of eXp from our inception, and this goes through 2021, when we hit 70,000 real estate agents, 70,000 agents realized, and you could see how our growth is actually accelerating. So the previous slide ended with 2021. What happened in 2022? Well, the results as reported by RealTrend of the top real estate brokerages in the United States by size, which means transactions. Number one, the number one real estate brokerage in the United States in 2022 by transactions is eXp Realty. Number two is our friends at Anywhere. Remember them? Coldwell Banker, Century 21, all of those brands. Home Services of America, that's Berkshire Hathaway. In some parts of California, they're called Intero, but it's a Berkshire Hathaway group. And by the way, number four, doesn't show up on this, was our friends at Compass, which we talked about before. They may not have sent you a letter if you're a new agent or a postcard, because they oftentimes don't hire new agents. What about 2023? Well, we don't actually have the numbers yet, but in 2023, T360s gave out their Mega 1000 awards in recognition. eXp Realty is the largest brokerage by transaction size in 2022, the largest brokerage by agent count, and we're the fourth largest brokerage by volume, which means the value of all the properties that are sold. Oh, and we're worldwide. eXp is in the United States and Canada and Mexico. We're in Brazil and Colombia. We're in England and we're in Spain and Portugal and Poland and Italy and Hong Kong and Dubai and India. We're in a lot of countries, and that number is growing. And you have the ability at eXp to do business through and with our agents in any of the countries that we have participating agents.